series of questions, just some qualitative interview stuff. The idea is to really get a sense of what you think of music festivals, what you like about them, and then more importantly, how social good interacts with festival life. Um, so let's get started, all right?
Okay.
So the first question is about, you'll have to excuse me, I'm actually going to move us over as I'm asking you this question
Okay.
to a place where I can plug in for power.
Okay.
So the first question, if you can record it for me, is give me your name and your stats, age, where you grew up, what you like about, what your hobbies are, what you're currently doing for a living, so forth.
Okay. My name is Lindsay Martin, and I grew up in Anaheim, California, and I'm 32 years old, and I currently am a dance teacher at a studio for adults with disabilities. And my hobbies are doing theater and going to shows and concerts and dancing, surfing, that kind of stuff. And that's about it.
And do you usually go to music festivals often? Is that something that's on your
Yeah,
list?
yes, I definitely try to go a couple times a year. I've been to the Doheny Blues Festival out here and the reggae festivals, and I've been to Burning Man a couple times in the past, and Coachella once. So yeah, try to make it to as many as possible.
And from a festival perspective, is it just music festivals you go to? Do you go to food festivals, art festivals?
Oh yes, yeah, I've been to a couple of LA food festivals, like food truck festivals, that kind of stuff. Like summer, I've been to a couple outdoor movies that did food truck offerings and live music this summer through Eat See Here LA, and yeah.
Fantastic. So do you have a preference or favorite amongst those that you've mentioned, food, art, music?
Um, Kind of a combination, but I really enjoy the live music aspect, just because of the people, like the eclectic group of people that can gather at something like that. Just it's really interesting to me to see who goes to those types of things.
And do you have a favorite out of those? Any of those? Like that you're loyal
Um,
to, that you'll go to every year, like Burning Man or anything like that?
I go to I didn't go to Burning Man this year, but I go to the Doheny Blues Festival and the Reggae Festival every year.
So tell me, why are those your favorites?
They're more I think they're more relaxed, and they're more of a community feel, a family feel. So there's kids, there's older people. It just kind of I don't know. I feel like those where they're located to are easier to get to. More people central to LA go to those.
Hmm. Have you spent much time in Las Vegas or anything like that?
Yeah, I have. I don't think I've ever been to a festival in Las Vegas though.
So is there any festival you've ever traveled to?
Other than
Burning Man.
uh, Burning Man and Coachella, no.
Okay. And is that part of the reason why you might not go there consistently? Because
Yeah, yes, it's obviously not cost effective for being an actor and stuff like that out here. It's not as user friendly, and yeah, the getting the time off of work and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Um, so from a festival perspective, can you, well, when you go to these festivals, do you go with a certain group of people? Do you usually go on your own?
Usually I have a few friends that have always introduced me to new things, especially in the music industry, that I'll usually go with. Um, and I have a friend that actually teaches yoga at Coachella, so that's how I went the first time.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you hear about these things or go about these things because somebody enlists you to come.
Definitely, and I think it's so much word of mouth in LA, for all those things, because you hear of somebody that does something and just kind of introduces you to it.
Right. Yeah, totally, completely. Um, so what's one thing you've mentioned as a part of the festival life that you enjoy is the vibe, that it feels like a community. Can you think of anything else that
Um,
you like about the festival vibe?
Definitely. I mean, for me, since also a performer, the artistry of it is really interesting to me. The show aspects, like the music itself, the sound, the lighting effects. I mean, all that stuff is really interesting to me because I do that for a living. So it's always interesting to see what they do and new things they come up with and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff.
So the production values are pretty important to you.
Definitely, yeah.
Gotcha. Um, we was tell me the kind of music that you're into. It sounds like blues is something that's pretty important to you.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I've been to, I mean, a ton of concerts. I have a very wide variety of music that I enjoy. And but yeah, the festivals that I've been to, like I said, have mostly been reggae or blues or rock, that kind of stuff. But I've been to tons of pop concerts. I mean, I've seen Bruno Mars 3 times. I've seen Katy Perry 3 times. Um, I've seen Backstreet Boys a couple times.
So you mentioned these. Did you see them from a concert perspective versus a festival perspective, right?
Yeah, right.
So why would you choose a festival over a concert, and then why would you choose a concert over a festival?
Um, I think concerts are more, there's a bigger variety and they're easier to find. It seems like there's way more concerts available than festivals. So I usually at the beginning of the year will decide, which ones I want to go to. Um, and if I'm able to schedule, a festival setting, then I will. Um, but yeah, I would say that's mostly it, that concerts seem to be more convenient just because there are more of them.
I'm just taking some notes.
Yeah.
Um, so what kind of you said so you like pop, blues, stuff you can dance to? Sounds like.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So it sounds like you had also mentioned something with regards to price and being
Uh-huh.
cost effective. Do you feel like
Yeah.
festivals are too expensive these days?
Uh, yeah. I mean, and I would say especially for the maybe not all, but a portion of the people that go to them seem to be very much um, artsy types that are actors, musicians themselves, that kind of stuff. People that don't have kind of an endless income to be able to afford to pay for them.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so in that aspect, it kind of does seem to me like they are a little bit more expensive.
Okay. And do you notice the brand sponsorships that go into it that generally make it less uh, costly for you to go? Do you notice the brand sponsorship signage and things like that when you do go to a festival experience?
Oh yeah, you mean like who they're like Red Bull, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Red Bull, Heineken,
Totally.
Budweiser.
Yep.
Do you do notice it? Does it bother you?
Um, no, I don't, I mean, again, I understand. I understand that, everybody kind of needs to bring in their own income. So no, I don't think it's ever really bothered me. I mean, I definitely noticed, and I think they make it pretty prominent, but I wouldn't say it phases me either way.
Right. So, of the festivals you've been to, like Jokini, what would you improve about these festivals? Even though you love them and you go every year, what would you do to improve those festival experiences?
Um, I would definitely say maybe more of a sense of I hate to say security, but crowd control basically, because they can get a little out of hand. And I mean, obviously, there are those people that ruin it for everybody, which, is annoying. Yeah, I would say maybe a little bit more in that sense of just, keeping a control on the crowd itself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For the
Um,
people that don't go, just for the music, they go to get drunk and be stupid.
yeah, you're not the first person to say if you could have alcohol but limit the amount of alcohol people had, would be
Definitely.
successful. Yeah, yeah, I get that. So, you mentioned something that for us is super important, and it's that sense of community. Can you describe for me the sense of community that you feel when, like, give me a quality of it? What does it taste like, feel like? Um,
Um, I think especially if it's something that you go to every year, you start to recognize people, and it's kind of like an extended family feel. Especially like for me, I'm an only child, and so I don't really have I don't have the sibling aspect, and it kind of when you keep drawing people into your group and you get more and more people that go with you, and we end up with a group of like over 15 people going every year, and I think it definitely feels like that extended family. Like it just gives you that sense of like having something in common with those people, and something to talk about, and um, yeah, just knowing that's something that you look forward to and you do always with those people.
hmm hmm That's interesting. This one music festival that I was doing interviews for talked about how one of the respondents talked about her experience of running into her dentist and her lawyer and her,
Right.
daughter's grade school
Yeah.
teacher. But
Okay.
even if you think of it in a broader sense, which is, oh, I remember you. You were the dude wearing the caterpillar outfit, or yeah, we crowd surfed to this particular song together. There was something about that
Yeah.
continuity that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
definitely. I mean, I've been a couple times where I've run into like my college professors too,
Yeah,
which is always, yeah, it's always interesting. So.
yeah, yeah. So some people we've interviewed say that attending festivals is a way to escape the real world. Does that statement resonate with you? And if so, why?
Um, I maybe in a sense I would say it's kind of a stress reliever. Um, but uh, but I think it's more about um, for me it's a stress reliever because I am a performer. Going to see somebody else do the work, it's kind of like it's a relieving thing to me because I get to watch somebody else entertain me as opposed to reverse. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, so it's kind of like, yeah, it's I would say a stress reliever is definitely um it's just kind of, you can just go and chill and relax and have a good time and just hang out with all your friends, and yeah, it's definitely a stress reliever.
Some other people have described festivals as sort of life on steroids, like condensed condensed culture. So it's like the highs of life are all at once. Does that statement resonate with you?
Yeah, yes,
More so than
definitely
the
for
other one?
definitely yes, definitely places, especially like Coachella and Burning Man, because you see so many different types of people, and to a very heightened extent. I mean, they're showing their own creativity and their own artistry as well as, attending this festival.
Hmm.
So in their
Um,
yeah, in their clothes and everything, yeah.
so if you could curate your perfect festival, what would that look like? Who would be the headliner? What food vendors would be there? What
Oh, geez.
learning or art? And who would be the people that would be there?
Um, Wow. That would be. I mean, I would love to see a festival that I mean, I know Coachella combines a little bit of different kind of genres of music, but I would love to see one that just had every genre, like pop, rock, rap, country, like something that had a little bit of everything, because I think there's so many styles out there, and to be able to combine it all into one, that would be really neat. Um, and uh, and the thing that I love about having food trucks there is that they're all different. So it's kind of nice to have a variety because then you can try a bunch of different things as opposed to just being at one restaurant and
Right.
trying like one particular type of food.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I just think I think something like that would be the type of people that would be interested in something like that too. So it would be a very eclectic group of people that have very broad tastes in music. So
Right. And then what would the vibe be like? Would it be chill? Would it be loud and boisterous? Would it be friendly? Would it be, what would the vibe be like?
I definitely think that it would be more of a. I mean, it would obviously be boisterous and be exciting, but I think it would be. Um, I feel like that if it was something like that where it can combine so many different styles of music, I feel like it would be a more higher class group of people, so it maybe wouldn't be as crazy as some of the other festivals are or get. So it might be a little more of a controlled environment, I guess.
Okay. Cool. How can you tell me how long have you been going to Doheny Blues, all these festivals that you go to consistently?
I started going to Doheny Blues Festival with my dad when I was like probably 14, I think. So we've been going to that for a long time. And then the reggae festival I started going to when I lived in Long Beach. So I've been going to that for probably the past at least 6 years.
Right.
Yeah,
Tell me.
my dad introduced me to like the Doobie Brothers and stuff when I was very young. So it kind of runs in my family.
I love it.
Yeah.
Um, and these festivals, how much does the city that they're playing in factor in for you? Like, do you
Um,
also spend time in the city themselves?
yeah. Um, I think it definitely helps if they're closer because it makes it more convenient to be able to go to them. Obviously, you know, factoring in traffic and travel time and all that stuff. Um, so having some that are so close to me, like in Long Beach and um, you know, the West Side, that really helps because they're not as far.
Right.
So I'm definitely more apt to go to those.
Right. Um, okay. So, as you know, that there are a lot of festivals that happen, right? Even in our
Hmm.
conversation, you've mentioned 5 different festivals. There
Hmm.
are 847 festivals that happen in the U.S.
Wow.
That call themselves festivals, and it doesn't necessarily include the Rib Fest of Naperville, Illinois. Um, right? Like but that's a lot, and for a lot of
Yeah,
people, there can be festival fatigue that comes from it. So part of what we're trying to understand is, well, what drives loyalty to specific festivals, right?
sure.
Um, and and certain things kind of come up over and over again for us. One thing that is pretty common in sort of loyalty building is this idea that it stands for something in their lives, right?
Hmm.
And one thing that the festival I'm working on is wanting to expand that to a more community and global level, right?
Sure.
Because if you think about people going to a festival that their parents took them to, or one of their best friends introduced them to it, and they had their first kiss there, those
Right.
are all incredibly meaningful. But what if you could elevate it up to a community level? Like you went to this festival and something good happened out of it, like social good, right? You
Sure.
helped
Definitely.
revitalize the community and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the things we really love about this particular festival that is that it is based in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas has its own sordid story of coming back from the dead multiple times, always
Right.
changing, always iterating.
Yep.
Um, and we really think, I think at least as a brand person, really love this story of, thank you, really love this brand story of never giving up. And I think that's something that applies on a personal level and a city level, and then on a global level when you think about everything that's happening in Europe, the Middle East,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
reminding people, both young and old, that this message of not giving up, no matter what happens, is pretty crucial.
Definitely.
We're looking for what is it that makes festivals and this sense of belonging to a larger community, like what is that about? Kind of unpacking that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. That's huge. That's huge for me, and I think that I would definitely be more apt to go to a festival that had a cause or was for a charity or something like that. Especially, um, you know, with my job working with adults with disabilities, I would be much more apt to go to a place that um, that gave to like autism or was for like ALS research or stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. If That's super helpful. So, what would that look like to you? Would it be about donating money? Would it be that when you got there, you were able to interact with members of the community that you helped impact? What would
Definitely.
what would that look like to you?
Yeah. Yes. If there was uh, members of the community that they were helping there, that would definitely they think that would definitely draw me in. And if a portion of the proceeds of the ticket that you bought went to help a society or charity or whatever, then yeah, that would help too, because at least I know the money was being spent for a good reason.
Yeah. Um, so these stories of resilience, right, on a global level and even a city level, are always varied, right? Can you
Hmm.
tell me a story in your life about resilience that, if you were given an opportunity to share that with people, to inspire them to never give up, what would that story be?
Um, that definitely yes. That would be. I think I kind of do that on a daily basis. Because I teach dance, and I kind of help these people with disabilities kind of better themselves and show them that they can learn so much and kind of be the best that they can be. And um, they're members of society, and we help get them jobs and that kind of stuff. So I think that's a testament um, to showing them what they can do and being resilient and not um, living under a stigma, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Um, Living under a stigma is very interesting. Do you mean just being accepted in the community?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know that's really hard for them. I mean, they a lot of people don't understand people with disabilities, and so it's kind of hard for them to fit into the community sometimes.
Okay. And how about a personal story that you feel comfortable sharing?
Um, I think that For me, finding like when I was younger and graduating from school and deciding what I want to do with my life and trying to figure out um, the same kind of thing. I mean, dealing with rejection on a daily basis, in the arts industry in general. Being told no on jobs. I mean, that just figuring out how to deal with that within yourself and you know, picking yourself up every day and moving on and saying, okay, on to the next thing, on to the next thing, and that's kind of how our life is in the industry, and you just kind of have to just be strong and be resilient and kind of just keep on moving, and so that definitely was a hard lesson to learn, and it still is. I mean, on a daily basis, it still is.
How can you tell me how music or art or learning or food have served as a reminder to you in some way of this need to keep going?
Yeah, yes, definitely. Arts and music in everywhere, all aspects of life. In school, having it for not taking it out of children's schools, high schools, and elementary schools. I mean, I think it provides so much culture and learning, and I think that it's so important to have that because. It gives us a chance to understand a broader realm of the world, and I just think that especially for kids growing up, I think it's super important for them to have that that outlet, whether it's painting or playing an instrument, that kind of stuff, and I think that definitely relates to having all these things available to them to hear live music and go to festivals or food festivals or museums or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just broadening. It's broadening our horizons and showing us, that we're able to take advantage of all the stuff that is out there in the world.
Yeah. I think broadening our horizons is a great one.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, you're an actress. You're in theater. What
Yeah.
sort of stories are there about resilience? Like well-known stories are there that come to mind? Like plays that you love, or movies that you love, or characters that you love that personify this spirit of never giving up.
Um, it's actually really funny because I'm currently right now in a production of Legally Blonde, and that totally comes to mind because it's like I think Elle Woods, the central character, is completely a perfect example of not giving up because she's this blonde sorority girl and she becomes a lawyer and she does it at first for love, but then she finds herself and she finds that she can really be more than she thought, and I think that's like a perfect example of most of us.
Yeah, I love that. How about, and I love that it's like it's kind of like a pop culture reference. It's not like,
Mm-hmm.
The Master Builder by Ibsen. Um,
Right.
what are other examples? Are there any sort of celebrity example? You live in LA, like celebrity examples that personify never giving up?
Um, Geez, I mean, I think that there's a lot of celebrities that like do stuff for certain charities because they have family members that have MS, or I mean, there's tons of people that that try to help out in their communities. It's kind of tough because I know that it's on the opposite end too. It creates a lot of sadness and destroys a lot of people too. So, I mean, I would think that anybody like and Angelina Jolie, I think is a great one because she has selflessly adopted so many children, and she constantly gives to charities, and I think she's a representation of a very strong person and a strong woman that has a great career.
Right. Totally. That's really helpful. Okay, so you go to concerts, they're cool. Tell me about some of these food festivals. Do you feel like these food festivals touch the same sort of creative spirit in you as music has?
Definitely. I mean, I'm a foodie, and I think that I especially like I've been to a lot of like wine and food pairing festivals, and I think that it's an artistry all in its own. I mean, it may not be music, but it's still a higher culture. It's still it's still um, it gives you something to talk to people about. Like it gives you something to say, oh, I really liked this or I really didn't like that, and it's a conversation starter, and I think that that's the main thing is it gives people things to talk about, and just you get to know people better, and you get to know yourself better, I think, and I think that's one of the major draws.
So conversation starter, which I really love. It's about connecting, and it's a way to connect to other people, which kind of
Yeah.
circles our whole community discussion.
Right. Definitely. I mean, especially in LA, I've met a lot of people that that started their own restaurants or their own food trucks, or juicing trucks, or that kind of stuff, and just talking to them and seeing like how their ideas came about, and like what they starting from nothing and just an idea, and then all of a sudden it's the next big thing. I just think that's really inspirational.
Okay. Very cool. Are there any other sort of thoughts you have based on this conversation around um, community and festivals and this notion of never giving up?
Um, yeah, I think especially I think especially knowing that knowing what I know about how hard it is to make it in this industry, whether that be the restaurant industry or the music industry or whatever. I think that that's kind of what they stand for, is that all these people had to work their butts off to be where they're at, and I think that's why it's inspirational for especially people like me who are in the industry as well, to be able to see these people that are doing it, are making a career out of it, and sharing their love and their passion with everybody else.
Right. Right. That's super helpful. I don't actually think I have any more questions at this point. Is there anything I can answer for you before we sort of work on housekeeping stuff?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. So, first of all, thank you so much for your time. I know we've had a lot of back and forth in terms of scheduling. So, and yeah, we'll be sure to pay you $100 since we weren't able to get the first thing sort of started.
Okay.
Harry will be in touch, who was the one you were originally in touch with, to get your mailing address so we can mail it out, and we'll probably start mailing everything out next week.
Okay.
So if you don't hear from us in 2 weeks, definitely blow up Harry's email address.
Okay.
We'll get it to you. It's just, the logistics of it. But and we may send you a follow-up email that might ask 1 or 2 questions. So we just ask as a courtesy, if it's like, oh, we thought it was really interesting, you talked about this, can you tell us a little more about that? Super helpful.
Okay.
I don't anticipate it, but sometimes there's follow-up that way based on client feedback. All right, cool. Nothing more here. Lou, thank you so much for your time. It was such a pleasure, and I think that the artist's journey is pretty inspirational, so thank you for doing it.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, talk soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.